Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to go through part 3 for how to fix your chronic male pelvic pain. So in this video, we're going to review parts 1 and 2, which give you some simple solutions and things you gotta know if you actually have chronic male pelvic pain. And in this video, we're going to go through some assessments and treatments to hopefully finally get you out of chronic pelvic pain. Let's begin. So in parts 1 and 2, we focus on a couple different things. The first is breathing. Again, we have to get your pelvic floor nice and relaxed, and we want to be able to breathe into it. So when I'm taking a big inhale, everything around me is expanding. My sides, my front, my back, but most importantly, the bottom of my pelvic floor muscles, which is that perineum area here, that should expand downward when I'm inhaling, all right? And when you exhale, we want to focus on relaxing, okay? That's a critical foundation when doing your exercises and your stretches and daily living so that you can begin to release that pelvic floor that you're probably clenching and aren't even fully aware that you're clenching. The second part that we went over was soft tissue work. So we would use our hands for that and really pressing into that pelvic floor area. And at first, if you're kind of sensitive with it, that's very normal. And that's actually a good sign. So that as long as you're cleared by your doctor, your urologist, or your pelvic floor physical therapist, we want to begin to exert some pressure in those areas and make sure that we can gradually progress, pressing more and more into those areas so they become less sensitive and more relaxed. And this video goes without saying that you have to have this cleared by a doctor to make sure you have pelvic pain that isn't due to some other cause. And if it's not due to some other cause and you get a referral for physical therapy, you're in the right place. So one of the fascinating things about pelvic pain is that you have to have support, all right? I went to 3 of the top physical therapists, in fact, pelvic floor physical therapists in my area, and I learned tools from every one of them, which helped me to finally get out of chronic pelvic pain that I had for over 6 months. And I was desperate. I felt helpless. I felt powerless. I became depressed, and I was willing to do to get out of it. And so I want you to have that mindset. I want you to be willing to do anything, but most importantly, you have to get support. We're learning now in the scientific research that the more support you have, the better your outcomes will be. So this is a type of pain which it's often maybe people feel a little embarrassed about, people feel a little embarrassed to tell their doctor, but you have to get the proper support, whether that's online forums, getting some online coaching, watching these videos, publishing, talking to your physical therapist and describing all of your symptoms. And the reason why it can be embarrassing is because these symptoms can be so varied amongst person to person. People will feel numbness, tingling, pain, weird radiating pain into the left or the right side or both sides. People can feel urinary urgency, so you feel like you have to go to the bathroom a lot more frequently than you should. You can feel super sensitive in those areas. Certain positions may give you more pain or just a general discomfort that you're constantly in. So one of the things that I really want you to do is keep a log of what you're doing and what your levels are throughout the day. And what I would recommend is considering how's your morning, how's your afternoon, and how's your evening. And I want you to rate those levels on a scale of 1 to 10. And you're gonna monitor them. We're gonna use breathing, we're gonna use self-massage, and we're gonna use some of these techniques here today to ensure that you're doing everything possible to get out of your chronic pain. All right, so one of the things that we didn't really address in the last videos are the abdominals. And the abdominals are very much linked to the pelvic floor, such that if I really contract my abdominals, my pelvic floor is clenching up too without us even realizing it. So I know a lot of you are thinking that like, okay, I'm going around, I'm trying to like look nice, fit. So I'm trying to suck in that gut. And that's a huge mistake if you have chronic pelvic pain. If you have chronic pelvic pain, we need to completely relax. It's critical that you relax because if you're relaxing your abdominals, you're reducing the tone to your pelvic floor muscles, and it can allow you to relax your pelvic floor muscles more than. Now, I'm not saying that by instantly relaxing your abdominals, it will instantly relax your pelvic floor. That takes more practice, but we're gonna get there. The first step is relaxing those abdominals. So I want you to look at the abdominals here, okay? All right, so with the abdominals, again, now I'm like tensing up automatically. So with the abdominals here, you gotta be able to relax here. So just because my abdominals are roughly flat, it doesn't mean I need to tense up and suck it in all the time. In fact, you need to be breathing here. You need to be breathing. Okay, but now what we're gonna do is we're gonna check the rib angle that goes down here, all right? And we want roughly 45 degrees, okay? We wanna have 45-degree rib angle. If your rib angle is down like here, okay? If I completely exhale, I can get my ribs fairly low, a little bit lower, but the lower your rib angle, the more tense your abdominals likely are. And we need that angle to be about 45 degrees or even a little bit higher for those who have chronic pelvic pain. Now, the way that we can stretch it out is basically having our arms be overhead. We can shrug up. We might tilt up the neck a little bit. We're gonna take a big inhale and we're gonna hold. And we're gonna hold those inhales for up to 60 seconds or, sets, little mini sets. If you can just hold for your breath for 10 seconds, we're gonna hold that 6 times for up to 60 seconds. And we have to get that elevated. Now, this also means that I want you to do minimal ab work during the time. In fact, if you do ab work, I want you to take an inhale and do your sit-ups, your planks, your dead bugs, your rollouts, in an inhaled position most of the time so that we can lengthen those abdominals. But if you have chronic pelvic pain and it has gotten bad enough, you've probably already eliminated doing ab work because, as you know, it exacerbates and makes your pelvic pain worse. So that should tell you right off the bat that when you're doing abdominal work, it's even leading to greater clenching of your pelvic floor. So we need to relax those abdominals. The other way that we can stretch those abdominals too is by doing this stretch. We're laying on the ground, we don't have to extend up too much, but we're taking a big inhale. I recommend even tilting the head back a little bit. You can shrug up those shoulders, and we're gonna hold that for a minute. So generally for these stretches, I'm gonna have you hold for 1 minute to 2 minutes a day. That is it. We know from the research, static stretching works like this, just holding this position, and generally 5 to 10 minutes a week will give you the sweet spot in allowing you to increase your range of motion or change your rib angle alignment to 45 degrees or a little bit higher. So now the second stretch that we're gonna get into is gonna be a glute stretch. So this is the stretch that I'm talking about, and I prefer this position simply because it allows me to relax my pelvic floor. My abdominals are relaxed. It feels like I can open up, and probably most importantly, I can breathe into that pelvic floor. So it feels like that area, that perineal area is expanding downward when I take an inhale, all right? Now this stretch might be a little too much for some of you, and that's why if this is too much, we're gonna go with this position here, lying on your back, taking a big inhale. So it's essentially the same position, but this stretch, this position can allow you to potentially relax even more so that any tone you might be having in your abdominals, any tone through the legs or the glutes area, you can release that. And again, the same protocol is true. I want you to stretch for 1 to 2 minutes a day. Now, if you stretch don't stretch for 2 minutes at a time. Stretch for 1 minute earlier and then 1 minute later on, right? And these two positions are my favorite positions for allowing you to feel the expansion of your pelvic floor along with giving you some relief. So that's the other thing. Now, there are other stretches out there which can be helpful for you, and I encourage you to experiment with them. There's a lot of videos that you can look up, Fem Fusion Fitness, Carl Monahan. They do have some awesome resources towards making sure you can find good positions for yourself so that you can get relief, or you're at least not exacerbating your pain. All right, and this brings us into our next topic, which is posture. All right, so for a lot of you, sitting down is not tolerable, and especially for a long period of time, or depending on what you sit on, certain surfaces are fine and other surfaces are absolutely unacceptable. So you need to find ways that you can sit down and have the most relief. Also, what I encourage you to do is start to monitor how much time you can sit down comfortably, okay? And then I want you to start to focus on trying to see if you can sit a little bit longer each time. But also, if you know, for example, that you can only sit down for 20 minutes, I really only want you to probably sit down for like 15 to 19 minutes. Then I want you to get up, get into a relief position like we went through. Get into a little relief position, and it's okay. Get into a little relief position, walk, whatever you can to decrease the sensitivity should help, so that when you go back to that position, you will be able to sit for a little while. So for a lot of you, it's okay if you start out, let's say your worst sitting position gives you a discomfort level of a 8 out of 10, and the best that you have is 5 out of 10. Well, that's okay. We can start at 5 out of 10. So I want you to incorporate and use all the tools that you can. Again, we're getting support. You're doing self-massage. You're thinking about your breathing all day. You're using these stretching relief positions for you. And if you start to use them all, you're going to start to notice that your numbers start to decrease a little bit. But it takes time, and that's why I encourage you to monitor. And there's going to be days where it's like, what are you saying? I went from a 5 out of 10 to a 2 out of 10, and now how come today I'm back at a 5 out of 10? Don't freak out. There's days where you're gonna naturally be more stressed. You didn't get enough sleep. Your body's just more sensitive, and those pain receptors are gonna kick on. It doesn't mean you're back to square one. It just means that the curve, which tends to be a wave-like curve, but the progress is going up, is gonna get better. You just need to have patience with it and just continue the good work. And this goes for everything that you do. So if it's a so if you're driving, if you're walking, if you're doing certain exercises, you may need to take a break in the middle of them. And I urge you to do that and try not to be in one position where if it started out uncomfortable at a 5 out of 10 and it was tolerable for 15 minutes, don't sit there for 2 hours. So if you're going to a movie, I want you to be adjusting. I want you to get up, go get some popcorn, get a drink, go to the bathroom, go whatever. Just get up, sit in the back so you can get up. Like, be smart, be strategic about what you're doing so you can make sure to hit your goals every day, and you're monitoring, you're keeping track. The last thing that I want to say is that I believe dilation can be very effective for some people, and that's why I included a video on my website. So if you're interested, let me know. I'll let you know the link to that, and it gives you some basics on internal dilation. There's no videos out about it right now, and I give you a pretty long tutorial about where to begin and giving you confidence in how to start a dilation process for treating your pelvic pain. All right. If you found this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.